What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys haven't seen the previous video, we've made a ton of progress update on my brother's K-Swap supercharged all-wheel drive Civic wagon. Now, I did come out here a little bit earlier to work on the car off camera, and I did get it off the jack stands. I was kind of tinkering with the front camera kit. If you guys don't remember, we installed the Megan Racing front camera kit. So I set the front camber to -1.5 based off my DIY tool to kind of get it close to where we wanted to be at before it goes to the alignment shop. I've shown you guys this tool before. Little camber gauge for RC drift cars. All I did was extend this end right here and butt it up against the rim, right? And then kind of get an idea of where our camber sits at. So it's between 1 and 2, and I'm gonna assume it's about -1.5. And based off my friend who tracks pretty hardcore, he said that recommendation for the front is -2.2 to -2.5, and then the rear is -1.5 to -2.0. The rear is currently set at -1. We might adjust it in a little bit more. The front 1.5, I'm shooting for 1.8, but honestly that's going to be based off when we swap the tires, going from a 195 to a 205, and then we'll get a better look to adjust the camber then. In the last couple of videos, we made a few changes. We added a 70mm throttle body. We have a 3.5 intake opposed to the 3 that was on here before. We took off the DC header and installed this S1 all-wheel drive specific all motor header, which has a 1.5 tubing to a 3-inch outlet, and then we made a test pipe to connect to its current exhaust system. Just a few more odds and ends I'm going to be doing with the car today to really button it up, but honestly it won't be fully buttoned up until tomorrow because the Cerakote process is 5 days after it has been coated. It needs to fully dry before turning it on so it doesn't flake the Cerakote off. So tomorrow will be the 5th day. Shout out to Let Me Coat It Carlo for like giving me that information, because honestly I would have turned this car on after the install, but definitely good information. And tomorrow we'll fire the car over, then we'll put the coolant in and bleed the entire system. But aside from all this mod that's now done and out of the way, the other big main thing we want to do, or at least what my brother wants to do, is he wants to swap out the stock K20 Z3 crank pulley for a K24, which I have right here on the floor. This is Project Blueberry's old crank pulley, or crank in general, but I have a pulley right there, and we're going to be swapping out that crank pulley to hopefully kick out a little bit more PSI for when we get back to the dyno. Now this is a 3.1, which is supposed to give us at about 10-11 PSI, but I think with the restriction of the old setup, this car was actually choking out and only gave us 7 PSI. So honestly, with now better breathing components, this should give us 10 PSI. But we're going to throw the K24 pulley on it just to ensure we creep over 10 PSI, because my brother wants to see what the capability of the supercharger is on the stock Z3. So that's what we're going to do today. My focus is just the crank pulley and finding the right belt. I feel like I might have to go to the parts store a couple of times to find the right belt, but you know, that's what we're doing today. So let's go ahead and get this car jacked up and take this whole entire shebang off. Somebody said in the comment the other day, yo bro, you need to clean your brother's rims. And I'm like, it's not my responsibility to keep his car clean. But this is brake dust from running Hawk HP Plus pads. Now those pads are really known for brake dust, but you have really great stopping power. Same pads I run in the KRX always get dusted up on the front wheels, and I have the same pads in this car. The sedan has import direct, you know, ceramic. They don't have a lot of brake dust, but Hawks most definitely produces a lot of brake dust. This right here, Hawk HP Plus, right? And even if I did clean it, you drive this thing around town, maybe an hour, come back, it's going to get dusted up again. Now, before that comment even came in, I did clean the other side, if you even took notice. I cleaned this wheel because I bought some chemicals from, I think, Adams, and I wanted to see how well it worked. I did 2 rounds of it and rinsed it off, and it worked pretty well. Without having to scrub it, you can kind of see in between the spokes, still a little brake dust in there, but, you know, without having to scrub it, 9-day difference. Yeah. So I read comments, not all the time I reply. I need to crack off the belt, and we have the tensioner right here. Let me see if I can pull it enough to get the belt off. All right, let me see. I'll probably just slip it off right here. There we go. All right, not too shabby. I should have taken a picture of this. Last time I got confused. The tensioner on the supercharger itself is like all the way down already, so it's like maxed to the bottom. In case I did get a little bit bigger belt, if I need to get a new belt, then I have about ½ an inch to go up, it seems like. So go ahead and pull this belt off, and then we'll get down to the crank pulley. Hopefully I have enough space down here because it looks pretty dang tight. Oh crap. That does not fit. I'll be dead ass honest with you guys. I do not want to take off the motor mounts and everything to drop the engine. So I'm just gonna put a hole saw on here to kind of make some space instead of just banging the frame, if this goes well. Probably not. So it didn't take off that much material at all. Probably like, this is like ½ an inch. And now we have access to the crank pulley bolt. Now this makes more sense in case like maybe this car is gonna put out way more PSI than we had hoped for or something, and we want to swap back over to the K20 Z3. So it just makes it easier to access it right here without taking anything off, because look at this bolt, super tight between the tensioner. So the whole entire tensioner has to come off, and then these two bolts will come off, and I don't even know if the engine will drop because of how solid it is, because we have 4 motor mounts, but this just makes it more convenient. So when I'm done with the job here, I'll spray this with some primer just so that the bare metal doesn't like rust over time. So let's go ahead and shoot this sucker out. Easy. The keyway is pointing on the top. Okay, that should be okay. And there it is. Don't want to lose this guy. Now let's go ahead and grab the K24 and compare the two. All right, so before you guys give me crap about this chip right here on the pulley, I ran it like that, no problems. All the B series I've ever done always had a chip on the pulley, never had a problem. This is something concerning when you start making a ton of power. But for this, I ain't worried about it. So right here, 24 pulley, Z3, you can already see the big difference, right? So my brother said he did a bunch of research and people were switching over to this pulley to gain a couple more PSI. I don't know by how much, but even someone from S1 recommended this or another aftermarket pulley that's a lightly bigger, taller than the stock K24 pulley. But because this is what we have, this is what we're gonna rock. So if you look, I don't know if I'm getting this center to center, but it is 6 1/8. And then the K20 is a little bit more than 5 3/4. So that's a big difference. That's almost like ½ an inch. My math is not mathing, but ½ an inch, that's quite a bit. So we're gonna be installing this guy, right? I'm gonna clean it up a little bit, install this, and then I don't know if I wanna just try this belt. I'm pretty sure it won't fit because we're already maxed out right here. But I'm gonna try this, and then if not, I'll just get like I have yarn somewhere, and then we'll just kind of route it to kind of get an idea of the length that we need, and we'll take it to the parts store and see what we can find. So let's go ahead and get this sucker back onto the car. Some light uggers, that'll do a job. Should I throw some dirt on here? Just so it can match everything else? I was able to use the original belt and I just maxed the tensioner out, and it looks like it works. So the tensioner, I maxed it all the way back to slip the belt over, and when I let it go, it came back like 1/4 of an inch. So we know it's tension. This tensioner and supercharger is maxed all the way down, and I locked it in place so that it wouldn't move around. The original belt right here, I measured it and I ran the part number. This was 60 and 9/16. And then the string right here with the tensioner almost all the way down, this is 60 and 3/4. So it wasn't really that far apart. And I was looking at AutoZone and O'Reilly's 6 rib and 7 rib. They have a 61 9/16 or something like that, and a 58 would be the lowest. So there wasn't anything in between, and I didn't want to like risk running 61 and it being too loose. I think the 61 9/16 would probably work, but I was like, man, the measurement is so close, you know, 60 9/16 and 60 and 3/4. I was like, you know what, let's try to max tension out. And sure enough, it worked. So looks like I'm not gonna go grab another belt, and I also have the part number for the other belt in case we need to grab it, you know, if this didn't work out, whatever. But we'll grab that belt later. For right now, we'll run this, see how it works out. Right now I'm gonna tighten up the tensioner, 1 2 3, and in the place to be. That's pretty much the K24 crane pulley upgrade. All right, guys, so this thing is almost practically ready to go. Tomorrow we're gonna fire the car over, bleed the cooling system, make sure everything is good, fans working, temperature's looking good, and then we're gonna schedule an alignment, and then we're just gonna schedule a tune. So as far as today goes, I'm just gonna relax the rest of the day. What I wanted to do, we got it done. So instead of cutting you guys short now, we'll pick back up tomorrow when we fire it over with the new S1 header. I mean, the intake, the throttle body, all the mods we've done to it, we're gonna fire it over tomorrow. So the battery in the back, we are charging at 14. That's good, except the battery is probably not holding charge anymore for some reason. When I turn the car off, it just has a dead battery, like it doesn't even turn over, so I had to use mine. But so another thing that I noticed is my brother's heater core blows hot, and then it blows cold, and then it blows hot, and then it blows cold. This one's a little warm, and then right here is cold, right here is hot. It's kind of weird. But I remember my brother telling me about the heater core not blowing hot, and I totally forgot to put the water hose into the heater core to blow it out to see if something is clogged inside of it. And I also noticed that I put the heater hoses from the engine to the core on opposite side. Top is bottom, bottom is top. So probably gonna drain out the cooling system. Lucky for me, I use all water and a little bit of coolant. I'm gonna drain the cooling system to put the hose to clean out the core, and then put the hoses for the heater on the correct location, and then we'll bleed the entire shebang again. But the good thing is I was able to get the idle down to 1,000, and all I did was adjust the valve on the throttle body to let the valve close a little bit more. It was idling at about 1,400, and now it's at 1,000. And it comes back to 1,000, which is freaking awesome. And the car is warmed up. We're sitting at 188. The fan did come on. IAT is at 111 sitting here. Typically I see these at about 120, 125 at idle, but 111 is pretty good. I mean, everything seems to be checked out. I think right now, before I do all the off-camera redoing the cooling system, I'm gonna drive it. I'm gonna see how it feels, and then I think we're gonna wrap it up. God dang. All the windows are dirty. I can't see anything. The car does feel a little funny because I altered the alignment. The camber is more negative, so I can feel that it's like touchy. With the 3-inch downpipe on the S1 header, sounds nice and quiet. Something about something. It's like vibrating on the chassis. I gotta double check the welds on the subframe to make sure I grind it down enough that it's not rubbing up on the header. Even though when the engine torques, the header pulls away. I didn't really notice it when I installed it, so. Or is that road noise? I can't tell. I do gotta get rid of that belt whistle. Temperature 188, IAT 123, idle is about 1,000. Sounds good. Sounds good. The belt noise, it fixed itself. So I have the car still running in the background because I wanted to charge the battery a little bit. And if it doesn't charge the battery, I do have a trickle charger. We'll throw it on. But the car sounds good. You guys saw all of the parameters and everything. It's looking really good. The car is idling perfectly fine. Temperature's holding up really well. And this thing is almost ready for the dyno. Almost ready for the dyno because there's a few more odds and ends we need to do with the car before it's ready to hit the road again. Order some tires. Once the tire shows up, we'll throw it on the wheels, and then once that is on the car, we'll take it in for the alignment, then we can adjust the specs accordingly. And then my brother still wants to do the 3-inch exhaust system, so we're gonna have to go to the muffler shop to do that because I'm not gonna build it. I got other things I need to take care of because we got deadline coming up. We got a lot of deadlines coming up. We have a bunch of stuff for September here coming up, and I need to get my car ready to have some fun. I appreciate you guys watching the last couple of videos with the upgrades on my brother's car. We did the S1 header. Shout out to S1 and Let Me Coat It Carlo for Cerakoting that. We got that installed with the test pipe. And then we did the 70mm throttle body from eBay. That seems to be working out perfectly great. And we also did the 3.5 intake over the 3-inch that was on it before. And that'll be a good comparison to the last intake setup, except we've changed a lot, so we're not gonna know what changes made some gains, but I'm hoping with a 3.5 intake it should help breathe a lot for the engine. Definitely gonna have to get a new filter because the Spectra one is it's gunked up pretty bad. I'm gonna order either a Vibrant or a K&N before we hit the dyno, but for the most part the car is practically ready to rock and roll, and I'm stoked because I'm really hoping that this is gonna gain some horsepower and we can compare it to the last time it was on the dyno. But all of that to come here real soon. So we're gonna wrap up the video right here. I hope you guys enjoyed the progress update on my brother's K supercharged all-wheel drive wagon. If you guys did, be sure to leave a thumbs up, and if you guys want to stick around for some fun stuff coming up here this week for me and hopefully the next couple of videos for you guys, be sure to hit the subscribe button. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.